Welcome to Conversations with Toy, a blogcast tackling life one episode at a time. This is the time to air out life's craziest moments. This space is all about speaking about life's hang-ups and ways in which we can leave better than when we started. Topics are all about ways we can find space to be better in life, love, mental space, and health.
Happy Friday. I am hoping that your weeks have been pretty good. I must say, I hope it's amazing. I don't want to say pretty good like I'm downgrading it. I just hope that you're having great week. We have a gem today. We have Ashleigh. She is here. She is going to be talking to us about all kinds of, first of all, getting your life in check, right? And visualizing the lifestyle, not necessarily the job, but the lifestyle that you want so that you can literally walk into the life that you choose. I know for a fact that, and if anything, during this downtime, and I say downtime because we know the pandemic, aka I like to call it the panoramic, has really been, doing a number on a lot of lives, physically and emotionally, and just on every different level. But one thing is when you start to realize your purpose and you realize where you're trying to get to, and you realize that there's really no way of just stopping that, and you can find ways to just leap. I mean, like literally leap into the lifestyle that you truly want to be in. It's an amazing thing. So when the day you discover your passion, right? The day that you discover what you were put on this earth for, the day that you discover that, you'll find a way to make it happen. And so we have Ashleigh here. She is going, first of all, she's so bomb. She is amazingly bomb. And I know you're like, why she keeps saying that? I say that because when you hear her voice is dynamic. It's very few often that you can find somebody that just matches your spirit right off the bat. And I'm telling you, she is a powerhouse. She is not to be played with. She is a powerhouse. So get yourselves together and ready to listen to this conversation. But I wanted to talk because life is changing, and life is changing rather quickly. We do know that there's all kinds of stuff going on with the Delta variants and all those different things. My advice to you is to do what is best. My advice to you is to find a way to try to maneuver and live in this world with everything that we have going on, and try to walk through as much grace. That's the only thing I can say. And the reason why I say that is because there's going to be so many decisions that are going to be made, whether that's, good or bad, indifferent. Our lives are going to be shifting and moving in these next few weeks. The fall already brings a level of the flu season. So when you add these other parts to it, it's just going to be a craziness. So please take the time to, fall back when it comes to things on social media when it's becoming too overwhelming. I literally refuse to argue with folks. I don't have the energy to do it. I implore you to not have the energy to do it. It's literally not going to bring about any change in your own personal life. Make the decision that best fits you and do that. And then find a way to just literally find a way to find peace. Find the peace that you need for your life. As a mother, as a wife, as just a woman in general, I cannot take this stress level that is being pushed into the atmosphere into every area of my life. It'll make my home very unsettling. And I want to do what's best for me and my family. And we've been doing that. We have found a way to basically find our balance in this hectic life. I want to encourage you to do the same. I really do. I want you to be encouraged. Fall is on its way. Changes are going to happen. They're already happening. I just want you to find and carve out a little bit of peace. My home, I have been strict and very serious about the peace that comes into my home. And this is the reason why I know people are like, oh, she's so antisocial. She's so team antisocial. I'm not team antisocial. I am on team bringing peace into your home. Your home is where you have peace. Even when I have meetings, my meetings are about what needs to be done, but I am about peace in general. And peace is priceless. Let me just say that one more time for the people in the back. Peace is priceless. I cannot afford to have myself rattled up by things that are going on. I cannot afford to have my life all in shambles and shaken up and moved by every little wind and every little thing that blows. I've got to be stable. I've got to have soundness of mind, and I've got to be able to make decisions that best root for me and my family. I do not expect people to agree. This is not an agreement. There are going to be times when you walk this life where you have to make the decisions that best for you. Do that. Please do that. and find a way to try to be respectful. Don't argue with people. Let me tell you something. That just brings another level of energy. I could be somewhere, getting my life together and making moves and writing and doing all the things that I do. So just try to focus on that. I'm so grateful that we had an amazing vacation the last couple of weeks. Let me tell you something. It is a beautiful thing to get and go on a vacation. And I don't take that lightly, because I know there are people who cannot do it. And I understand that. We've been home for about 1.5 years, but we decided to keep it semi-local because it just gave us a little bit more of control, but still tapping out and not having deadlines and not having, worries and things to do. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be a blessing. So I encourage you, even if you can't do nothing but a little bit of a staycation somewhere, do that. Do it safely, but do it. I encourage you. There's nothing more rejuvenating than coming back and realizing your voice is still as strong, because you can listen when you come back from vacation. The joy of just coming back from vacation is enough. So again, we have Ashleigh today on our episode. She's absolutely amazing. A powerhouse. I feel like I've met her in another life. It was like talking to my friend, my sister. It was everything. When you hear it, you'll understand. But we're coming to make sure that you understand that there is just some ways by which you need to walk to gain the lifestyle. Remember, it's the lifestyle that you want. Sometimes when you're looking at other people's things, stop coveting the things and find a way to figure out what lifestyle you choose. For me, it's very important to be flexible in my life so that I can be available for my family and I can do the things that still make me spark. And that is what it's about. Having that time that you can control your own time, you can control your own things, and you can kind of do what you have to do. That is what attracts me. So when I'm thinking out lifestyle, that's the type of things I'm looking at. If I want to pick up and go somewhere, I want to be able to do that. And again, we understand that not everybody is given to be an entrepreneur. She is very clear on that. I have been around entrepreneurs that push this entrepreneur lifestyle and don't realize that not everybody is given to be an entrepreneur. If you are an entrepreneur, you know the tasks that are come along with that. To much is given, much is required. And when you are an entrepreneur, everything about your lifestyle is on you. Right? Not everybody is given to that, but everybody, in my honestly believes, can find a skill set or something that they can do on the side that's giving them residual money. Now that's, I believe, if you still want to work your job and still have a little bit of money on the side that's coming from you, do that. Tap into what is important to you. I am here for that. Everybody has some type of skill. You don't even realize just being able to have a skill set that is very natural to you, that comes extremely natural to you. I'm telling you, when you tap into purpose, it is a beautiful thing. So I'm hoping that your Friday is amazing. Let's get ready to listen to Ashleigh. Enjoy this episode. It's so good. And not only enjoy it, take your notes. Take your notes. Follow her on all of the social medias that we're going to include in our show notes, because again, we want to make sure that you can get the information that you need so that you can become who you need to be and get in. You got to have people that are surrounding you, who your tribe matters. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's go ahead into this episode. Ashleigh, let's take it away. All right, another Friday is upon us, and we have another amazing guest. We have Ashleigh Mayfield. She's going to come in, introduce herself the way she wants to be introduced. You know how we do that here at Conversations with Toy. We love to bring in guests who bring the boom, bring the fire, bring the passion when they're talking about the things that excites them. And I know that there's somebody listening that's going to benefit. So tune up, get your pen and your paper if you need it. If you're working out and you're doing your thing, listen, we're sending all the good vibes to you. We got you. Keep doing your thing, because we're all trying to be snatched and looking good in this world. So without any further ado, Ashleigh, take it away.
Hey, everybody. What is up? You totally going to have to turn that volume down because your girl is loud and passionate. I'm so honored to be here with Toy Time. Thank you so much. My name is Ashleigh Mayfield, and I am a wife. I am a mom. But let me tell you what, Toy, I am a woman that I feel like I have stepped into who I'm supposed to be. And I haven't always been that way. I've been in full-time ministry. I've been a full-time retail manager for years, and I just got tired of sitting on the sidelines of my life. And so I finally decided to do something about it, which I think is what most people need, most women need, is just to be able to get that oomph and take that action. And my life has forever been changed. I'm now able to really have the lifestyle that I've always wanted. I'm home full time. My husband's home full time. We make multiple 5 figures a month. We're able to really be the yes parents. We're 100% debt free. And I am super excited just to kind of break down my journey with you today, because we know it's never perfection from A to Z. It has come at the expense of tears, of doubt, of facing my fears head on. But I am so grateful for the journey, because really without that pain, there wouldn't be that purpose. And I know that's like some Google quote online, but it is true. Like,
but it's true.
Without the pain, it's really shaped who I am. And I think it's made me so much more grateful to walk in my purpose and in my calling with my voice, because I don't want to be no cookie cutter. Like, I think that it is so important that we're just authentically ourselves, and that vibe definitely attracts our tribe. And so, yeah, that's my journey.
That is so true. I mean, people don't realize when people say that. I always have to remind people, I know it sounds cliche, but you really have to be very clear about what your purpose is. And a lot of times it just takes tuning in. And that's what we have you here for, so that you can help somebody else figure out that way to tune in. But let's roll it back. Okay. Give me 3 things that had you in this moment where you said, I can't do this anymore. Like 3 things. I know you got plenty, because I know I got plenty. You got plenty. Anyone listening, you probably have more than 3 things that has you feeling a little stuck. But what was those 3 things where you were like, this is it, I can't do this no more?
Yep. So I was in the season, I was a full-time retail manager. My husband and I had just, he was working full-time on staff in a church. He was a pastor on staff in a church where it was just a square peg in a round hole. Okay. And I was, working 50 to 60 hours, only making 40. And the first thing that I realized was our finances were terrible. And I'm not here to tell anyone to quit their job and go into entrepreneurship. I do not believe everyone should be an entrepreneur, right? And Agreed. I also don't think that you ain't just quit your job and act like you're gonna be a millionaire overnight. It don't work like that. But our finances were crappy, and I was tolerating that. I would probably say that's number 2. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Finances definitely were a red flag. I didn't like how much I was working versus like the effort I was putting in. I was not getting that matched effort back. And that was like a red flag for me. But the first thing I would say is I was missing moments with my family. I was missing moments with my kids. I was missing moments with my family. And by the end of the day, when I got home, and I knew the demand, that's like people when they, and I'm a military brat. My mother and father were Marines.
I am too.
But,
yes.
There you go. Okay. Hoorah. And so when people, sign up for the military and then they get upset that they got to move every 3 years. And it's like, you knew the job when you got into it. Right. And so I knew what I got into. I ain't here to blame corporate America. I'm not here to blame my boss. I'm not here to blame my district manager. I knew what I signed up for when I became a retail manager, but I didn't know there was another way. And so missing the moments with my family was a trigger. The finances was a trigger, but the last trigger is I saw someone who had what I wanted. And I feel like God has always put me in a position where FOMO has driven me, where I doubt that I have the capacity. It's not a worthiness thing. I've never, some people struggle with worthiness, and I respect that. That wasn't me. Mine's an inadequacy thing. I know I'm good, Heffa, but am I good enough?
Right.
Like, am I good enough?
Now explain FOMO, because somebody's hearing to be like, FOMO, what's she talking about? Maybe they've never heard that, but they probably felt it, knows what it is inside, but don't understand when you say FOMO.
I'm glad that you said that. Fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw a total stranger online who had the lifestyle that I wanted. And every time, at first I made fun of her, because I think that's what we do. We kind of make fun of the things that we're ignorant about, and we kind of are curious, but we have pride and ego. And so I made fun of her for about a year. But then the next 6 months, 18 months, I stalked this girl, and she had the lifestyle that I want. And I realized she was in the game and I was benched. I'm doing this to myself. Right. And so I just realized she had the lifestyle I wanted. She had the house, she had the car, she was the yes mom, taking her kid on vacation. And I started putting all these pieces together as I'm working 50 to 60 hours, only making 40. And she was in a home-based business. And that's actually how I got started in my entrepreneurship journey. That's a part of my business, not a huge part of the empowerment that we're going to be talking about today, but she was in a home-based business. And I was like, you know what? I knocked the vehicle And then I realized, hold up, it's the lifestyle. Let me look at the end game. And I had to, all these things came together. The money that we were, still broke. How are two people working 50 to 60 hours, paid us 40, and we broke, right? And we're not people that are very lavish. We do the most with what we can. I was a couponer at the time. But I'm missing moments with my family. And here's this girl who's showing me exactly how my life could be, but I'm scared. And I realized in that moment that in my life, I had a lot more control than I gave myself credit. And I decided to take the leap. And honestly, my life has never been the same.
So that's amazing. Because again, I think a lot of us can relate to that, first of all, making fun of the ignorance. When you're ignorant about something and you don't understand it, a lot of it is not understanding, right? When we say,
and we're suffering. That's the funny thing is like, we're suffering. And it's like, how long do you have to roll around in the mud like a little piggy until you realize you ain't got to be doing that no more? But I was just rolling while I was stalking,
Stalking and rolling.
Stalking and rolling.
So then, okay, so now you have your 3, you got your 3. So now you're ready to make this change. How did we get there? Like, what was your steps? Like, we know the whys, we know the reasons why. How do we go from the why to what I want to be, how I see myself, to actually making it happen? What was that journey? What was the motivation? How did that all come together?
Well, number one, I had a lot of struggles. I actually walked away from my full-time job and went all in on this business that I wanted to do. And so there was no plan B. I mean, when they say burn the boats, burn the mother trucking boats, okay? Because I wasn't going back, okay? And I think for me, one of the hardest things that I struggled with was, how do I take that mindset that I knew I had when I was on staff in ministry, when I was a retail manager, and how do I put that initiative, the drive, the urgency, how do I create that now that I'm in this other space where I have full autonomy? And that was really, really hard. I had to learn how to lead myself.
Right.
And that is a part of the piece that sometimes we show up to business. Sometimes we show up to entrepreneurship and we're just asking other people, give me the answer. Give me the answer. Well, we all know the answer is success, but tell me the moves that you did. And so for me, I actually went my first 8 months, or my first 7 months, not growing myself, thinking I was too good for personal development, the whole, kit and caboodle, the vision board, the journaling, all that. I was like, I don't need that. Just tell me the game plan, because I'm a hard worker. And I reached the level of success until my skill set tapped me out. My growth, I hit my ceiling, and of course I wanted to quit. And I blamed everything else. It was everybody else's fault, everybody else's problem. It was this, it was that, it was mommy, daddy issues. And I got to the place where I got so broken that I knew, number one, burn the boats. There was no plan B. But I knew it was kind of just like, do or die. You either going to stay committed and honest to God. I think sometimes we feel like we have to say these pretty things that keep us motivated. Like, oh, I just need passion. I need purpose. I need motivation. Do you want to know why I'm here where I am today, Toy? Because I was stubborn, because I committed 1 year to this business, and month 7, I wanted to quit. And my pride would not let me go online and say it didn't work when I knew I didn't work it.
Right. And you know what? A lot of people don't have that.
Yep.
And I think it might have been a little bit of a negative. It could have went less.
Yes.
But it was a good way to keep yourself consistent, because we do not love consistency. We like quick trips. We like quick things that happen. We do not want to work our own consistency.
Yep. And so a lot of how I was driven was almost in you're either driven by purpose or pain. I was almost driven by my pain. I was driven by, and I think sometimes we think about stubbornness with a negative connotation, but for me, it was such an asset. I was so stubborn about the mission that I had to remember that. I had to remember I'm willing to do whatever it takes. But there were definitely some obstacles there. I had to learn how to lead myself. I had to learn how to cultivate urgency. How do you show up for yourself when like at a 9 to 5, they were giving me the game plan. I was just the middleman. right? I was the middleman. I didn't have to do marketing as a retail manager. They told me what signs to put up every day.
Every week you get that signage and they tell you, because I used to work in retail too.
Yeah, so you know,
you
girl.
just put it up and that's it. You don't get no, I don't think that works. I'm going to try something different. It's put this up.
Yep. They teach you how to do business. They don't teach you how to think. And I had to teach myself how to think when I became and stepped into the entrepreneur space. And I think that that's so important no matter who you are, because when you learn to understand yourself and you learn how to think for yourself, that's the secret sauce. There's a formula for success, but part of it is your secret sauce. And if you have any followers in Canada, I always say secret syrup for them. Okay. To my Canadian friends. But it's, you know, you've got to understand yourself. And a lot of that was me creating that urgency, figuring out how to do that, figuring out how to lead myself, figuring out how to get myself going when I didn't feel like it. Because a job, you've got that pressure of, well, they're going to fire me.
And they will.
Yeah. And sometimes as an entrepreneur, it's just like, oh, well, I'll wait until when I'm done with the soap opera, or I'll wait till I'm done with whatever, or I'll prioritize every single thing else, like my kids and my family and my neighbor's cat, because I have time, and we don't protect our time that way. So definitely a lot of obstacles, a lot of pain, a lot of tears. It's just an emotional roller coaster.
It is. And I'm glad that you said that everybody shouldn't or necessarily should be an entrepreneur, because when you get around enough entrepreneurs, they will then be like, well, you should go into business for yourself. You're one of the very few people who keeps it real, which is how I think too. And not everybody is given to leave their job, and they want that in their mind, that part of that consistency that's comfortable for them. And they can still branch out and do other things, but they may like that. A lot of people are just not given to do that. Yeah. But we hear that all the time from anyone.
Because people are trying to make a buck.
Right. Come on and join my team. Yep. You need to be, if you're not working for yourself, you're not doing it right. Like, no, this is not, maybe that's not my calling. You can't walk in somebody else's calling and expect for it to work out too. That's
100%. Too. And I think that's what's in your calling. I think that's important, that when women discover their voice and they spend time with themselves, they're going to understand what that looks like. And, maybe for you, if you're like, well, I kind of want to do my own thing, maybe that just means you have a side project.
Right.
I joined 5 years ago a home-based business with the hopes of making $200 to $300. And now that is a part of who I am. But now in the last year, I've been able to launch my brand where I can really empower women. And I think it's so important that we understand who we are. Some people have these phenomenal gifts that they're able to turn on and give more to their career in corporate America, where they become invaluable, where they are like, no, you can pay me more because of the value. I'm not replaceable. If you want to replace me, it's going to take 2 to 3 people. And now you have leverage,
Right. And they can also bring somebody else on, because now they're in the position to do that. So we need people everywhere. Like, we need people in different avenues. So everybody does not have to walk the same place. They don't have to walk in the same steps. They may need some same skills, but they don't have to always walk in the same steps. Talk to me about the empowerment part, what it is that you do, because you said and we all hear it. Like, I know y'all catching it, because if one thing you didn't catch, because I can hear between. Some people get stuck when I heard you say, like, you use the same skills things. You had certain things that you brought from the jobs that you had, you bring to the table now. Yeah. Some people get really stuck in the fact that, like, for instance, I was an administrative assistant, executive assistant for years. I still bring that same skill sets to what I do every single day, because now I can multitask. I can do certain things that other people don't always have the same skill sets to do. So even if you're at a 9 to 5, even if it's the worst job you've ever had, there's still some skills that you're going to bring from that to the forefront of where you're trying to be. And some people may not have caught that. So I just want to throw that in there, because you might have missed that. But let's talk about the empowerment part, about what it is that you do, that you're helping other women to realize their voice. Because again, there's going to be a lot of people listening to this that are like, I don't know how to listen to my own voice. That they know it, but they're not hearing it. So they can't walk in it.
Yeah, I think a lot of women specifically, that's like my specific demographic. I have men that follow me. God bless them, but I know my audience is specifically women. Okay, like, if you're not my man, like, boo, I don't like you. Okay.
Right. You just because you think I'm pretty, and you are, like, beautiful, but
watch from
the sidelines, because I'm not here for you.
Right, exactly. And so, and I get some men that are a little pressed by that. God bless them too.
Yeah.
But I think for me, a lot of women, I think that, one of my favorite phrases that I've heard is we beg women to be themselves, but we tell confident women to calm down. And
So true.
I just think for me, so many women that come to me. So I launched my brand earlier this year. Of course, I have a podcast. You can listen to that. All the free Fireball with Ashleigh Mayfield, all the free, it's a fireball. Okay. But for me, I launched my first boot camp. I just did a month ago. And it's been incredible, and for me, I called it the High Achievers Boot Camp. And I want to help women step into discover their voice. And honest to God, sometimes, Toy, it's just giving themselves permission.
Right.
That's really what it is. Women need to give themselves permission to win. Women need to give themselves permission to be bold and to be courageous. And if there's one thing that I could say to women on here, I think that that's exactly what they need. They need to be bold and courageous. And so in the program, we really break down, pulling out the high achiever on the inside of you, where we're really going over what is a success mindset. We're helping them build a roadmap. Okay, what is it that you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? Let's get it down. Let's do it. You've been talking about it for 3 years. And so I actually interview people coming in, because I'm not trying to make a buck off you. The money's going to follow. Trust me. I know I'm a snack, but I'm here to make an impact first. And I need women that are going to be leaned in and that are ready. And so we're breaking down a 90-day game plan for them. We're talking about the importance of their environment, external, the things you have control over. A lot of women, what is it when we're not doing the things we need to do? We don't take ownership, right? We just blame. And that was me, right? And this is all, this boot camp was derived from the valley. I'm in the valley with you. I ain't coming to you from no mountaintop. I'm in the valley, right? And so figuring out, how do we protect our external environment? How do we protect our ears, our mind? What do we do throughout the day, or what do we have in our world that's outside of us that we actually do have control over? That way we can continue success. Our mindset, the power of personal development, the power of affirmations and incantations, the power of journaling and self-awareness, all of that. We broke down the power of momentum. Oh my gosh. Some women, start finding success and then they self-sabotage. Well, maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe oh no, I made $10,000 a month. Boo, I'm about to make 25. Let's go. Okay.
Right. Like, keep going. Don't stop.
Yes. And giving them the power and the permission to keep momentum. And then we have some really cool topics that are also coming, an emergency evacuation plan. So the momentum is really when you're in the game, how do you keep yourself going? Next week, we're discussing an emergency evacuation plan. When you're ready to throw in the towel, how do we get ourselves back in? And then we're going to talk about the power of your inner circle, because we all know if you want to keep going, you got to be around the right people. And then the last course, it's an 8-week program. The last course, we wrap it up and just talking about using all the things, using the pain, using the lack of support. Some people never start because they just say, I don't have the support system. That should be a reason why you start. I don't have the money to start. That should be a reason why you start. Oh, this is taking too much time from my kids. That should be why you do it, because you want more time. It's that delayed gratification.
Right. You want everything right now, but you got to put the time in now so you can get the things you want later on. But people don't want that. We are living in such a McDonald's, a quick, microwavable generation where we want everything right now, instant gratification. We don't want to have to work hard for anything, but anything that you want and you want to do it well, you got to put the work in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's just no shortcut around the mountain. And so for me, this is really about, I think women are just afraid to make moves. They're afraid to make waves. And, when you're selling a product or you're selling a service or you're selling, you're writing a status, it is not for everyone. It is not for everyone. When you step on stage, I had the honor of just speaking on some stages. I spoke to 15,000 people. And when I stepped on that stage, I had to go to a place where I was no longer people pleasing. I was no longer I did not want to win over the crowd. I wanted to win over the one Ashleigh Mayfield sitting in the crowd. And I think that's why it's so important that as women, I want to teach them, whatever their journey is, to understand who you are and to be bold. And that word, be authentic, I know it's so overplayed, but really to be your true self. And sometimes, oh, this is going to be good. This is a word for somebody. Sometimes we hear practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. maybe you should preach what you practice. You know what I'm saying? If you were just, instead of practicing what you preach, trying to figure out what you say and then live up to it, maybe you just start talking about the things you already doing. So I can show up authentically without this imposter syndrome, without bowing down. I have fear, I have doubt, very real all day, every day, but I don't have to bow down to it because I'm just going to preach what I practice. I'm going to preach who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? And no matter what, life is always going to happen. And I think that if we can help women get to a place where stop stopping yourself, stop self-sabotaging when life happens, and you just start practicing the way you want to play the game, like your whole life is going to change. So just be bold, be weird.
And I'm so glad you said that because this is crazy. So I know you can relate. People have to realize, like you said, who their audience is. A lot of people get really, 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 really frustrated when family or friends are not along for the journey. And they get to the point where they're like, no, I can't do it because they are not your target audience. And we need to continue to say that because you can't always take your family and your friends. They're not always fit for the journey.
And, girl, I could write a dissertation on this.
Yes.
First of all, no one, you do not deserve anyone's support.
Right.
And listen, I talk to women all day long. They're like, well, my husband doesn't support me. He doesn't believe that I can do this. Okay, number one, what have you done in the past that's shown him that you've gone from thing to thing to thing to thing? What have you done in the past that you've shown him that you haven't now you might be married to a turd. I ain't going, that's between you and him, okay?
Right. But then this other side of it is that if you put this into the atmosphere, why are we so blaming the husband when in reality you got to look in? I always tell people that. I always tell people that. You
have not shown a history of success. So when I wanted to jump into business 5 years ago, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing. My husband is actually the reason I did it. He's like, oh, you could do this, baby. You're a go-getter. Because I proved I have a track record, right? When I wanted to launch my brand last year, my husband, I invested $10,000 in a business coach. And my husband said, you are worth betting $10,000 on. If you piss that money away, baby, you've made us more money. You worth it. My husband was like, let me sign the check right now because you're going to make $1 million.
Right.
Because he's like, I trust you. And so if you've given your spouse a reason to trust you, and if not, I mean, you got to sit down and say, give me 90 days. Give me 90 days. Bet. I'm going to show you. Right.
And then do the work. And then
do the work.
You can't no one show me 90 days and then sit and be like, it didn't work. No, you got to work. No one
owes you support. That is such entitlement. That is such entitlement mindset. And honest to God, Toy, I always think if the people in your life right now, when you rolling around like a little piggy in the mud, if the people in your life right now were meant to take you to the next level, you'd already be there. You'd already be there.
Now listen, I believe in a word and a word and a word, but if that is not a word,
listen,
it is a full stop of a word because people do not realize that. They don't.
Yeah.
And that's why they're stuck where they're at. And that's where
they don't want to change.
Right.
Yep. And the price that you pay, the price that I have paid, the lifestyle is good. I can give you my accolades a mile long. We're not here to talk about that today. The price I've paid is the relationships. The price I've paid is the investment. The price I paid is wanting to bet on myself, is rising to the occasion of being disciplined when I didn't want to. The price I paid is not going on vacation when my husband took my kids to Disney World because I had a job to do.
Right.
And I'm not saying that is for everybody, but there's going to be an investment that you have to get to the point where you put your head down and you focus on you. And it's going to come at a sacrifice, right? I got to the point where I knew myself well enough. And I get so sick of people just labeling other people as haters. They are not haters. They do not have your vision.
Please talk about that.
I hate that. That is such immaturity. That is such low level toxic entrepreneurship. They are not a hater. They do not have your vision. My husband, my eyes are going so bad. Toy, I ain't got no business driving at night, but I still do. Okay, y'all watch out for some Mayfield. I got no business driving at night.
Oh, have mercy.
And we go after the pandemic. We finally went back to church after Mother's Day. I couldn't see the signs on the words on the screen. I said, your girl is blind as a bat. And so my husband handed me his glasses and I could make them out, but I still couldn't see them. Why? I don't have his prescription.
Right.
I don't have his vision. People don't have your vision. They're not hating on you. They're ignorant. They love you. They care for you. They want the best in you. And yes, crab mentality is real, but
Right.
it's so important that you understand that when you say yes to success, you say yes to change. And that's going to come on all areas of life. And you got to be open to that. And that's at levels. You don't change everything at once, because then you're going to paralyze yourself and you out, right? You're going to get shocked.
Right.
Most people can't stop smoking overnight, right? You got it. There's a process there. So growth is layers. But when that layer of relationships, when you realize that you leave the family function more negative because you were 3 hours deep in gossip, but that's not who you want to be. When you realize you leave more bitter and angry and hostile because you're too busy defending yourself the whole hour instead of enjoying the family time, you got to stop saying yes to the family functions. And you have to have the self-awareness. And it's not a matter of, oh, I'm going to offend them. You're offending yourself by not keeping boundaries. You're compromising your growth and sacrificing your growth. It's such an interesting topic. And I get so passionate about it because not only I'm living from a place of it. And even now to this day, as you climb up the ladder, you got to watch out for people that are using you, abusing you, petty with you. They don't want to clap for you. It doesn't change. These things don't change. Fear never goes away. Doubt never goes away. Toxic relationships never go away. You just learn how to bounce back. You learn how to process them faster,
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Girl, I told you I could write a dissertation now.
Girl, listen, I get it because like you said, when you live it, you know it. And it is, you know it.
I'm in the valley. I ain't on the mountaintop. I'm in the valley living this stuff out.
I get that. So what if you are listening and you have someone who's listening right now? They're like, yes, yes, and more yes. And there are something that you've said has ignited in them. How do they then find that way to get to your empowerment classes and they take on this? I want to do this right now. You're talking to them. You finally hit the green button. They're ready to go. Their spirit is saying yes, even though they may be saying no in their mind, but their spirit is saying yes. How do they then take it to the next level?
Yeah. So you can, all my social medias are at the Ashleigh Mayfield, TheAshleighMayfield. My name is spelled a little different. Obviously you ain't gotta be like, is this her? You gonna see the purple hair. Okay. I got flaming purple hair. Okay. But I've got the boot camp. I actually have a waiting list going on right now. I had 70 women apply the first go round and I only accepted 9, and it ain't for free. Okay. You're going to invest in it. But so we've had some really cool results, just had people find clarity, breakthrough. They can finally make the game plan to the success they want. One woman owns a nanny agency, and she in LA with, actors, actresses she's servicing and stuff. And she could not close clients. She jumped in the program, taught her some stuff from the course, end up just working with her one-on-one. People, when they come in, they can opt for some one-on-ones. And she closed 3 clients in one day, made $15,000 in one day. So we getting some results up and in there. So there's a waiting list right now, but we're getting ready to launch. I have a free masterclass. So if you follow me on Instagram, that's probably where I'm the most poppin'. Instagram. I do some Facebook stuff. If it's more like home-based business stuff, that's more on my Facebook. More of my real entrepreneur, even my brand stuff is on Instagram. And, but I'm always doing fun little motivational things. My podcast, Fireball with Ashleigh Mayfield. But I have a free masterclass I'm going to be doing on Zoom beginning of September. And that is going to be the launch of my next round of the High Achievers Bootcamp, which will be October and November. And I'm really, really excited for that. It's just always a good time. I love watching other women just give themselves that permission, because that was just my story. I knew that there was something deep down in, and I was so afraid of it. I feared it at first. And then I just realized, you know what? I just needed a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help. And that's it. I'm just here to give you the roadmap. I'm here to give you the strategy and the tactics. The powerhouse is already on the inside of you, whether you want to be full-fledged entrepreneur or you flipping burgers at Burger King, because we all know the Lord has blessed the Whopper. Okay. You can have it your way. Okay.
And I'm vegan and I still like the Impossible. So I'm here for it either way.
Listen, Burger King's better than Chick-fil-A. I said it. Because it's the king, baby. It's the king, and you can have it your way. And I believe that's what the Bible says. God has given us free will, and you get you a Whopper on Sunday. So that's period. Okay, I ain't gonna go to nothing else.
Right, you ain't even gotta go there with the Chick-fil-A.
That's it. Okay, and you gonna wait 27 minutes, but girl, it's gonna taste good. Okay, you gotta dust it off a little bit.
and I might be heading there today. So
I'm gonna
yes,
get
I'm
me a
not
pizza
cooking.
burger.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that I get really turned on by seeing other women invest in themselves, because that's really what it is. That first step is you have to invest in yourself. You have to learn how you think, you have to learn how you move, you have to learn your giftings, and you just have to learn how to give yourself permission. So that's a lot of what I do.
Okay, well, I definitely want to make sure we put in for the free masterclass in case you are a skeptic, which I don't know how, but in case you are, that may be
Listen, it's always a good time. Even the people that don't like me, they be following me on Facebook, because you never
right.
know what's gonna
Follow
come out of my mouth.
along, get in that free masterclass. Something might ignite in you. You never know. Like small fires build things too. So
That's right.
we want you to go ahead and get into that free masterclass. And then if you are ready to make that investment and that leap and that and ready to take on your life. Because remember, like she said from the very beginning, as she said it, it's always about the lifestyle. What type of lifestyle are you trying to have? Are you trying to make sure that you have the freedom to do the things that you want to be able to do? To do that, it's going to take work. To do that, it's going to take some tactics, some skill sets, and you're going to need to ignite that fire inside of you. So we will make sure we have all that information in the show notes. But Ashleigh, we are so grateful, like truly grateful. First of all, you are a bomb, like just you can hear all in your voice. I love it, love it, love it.
Thank you.
So I'm sure if any of the of my wonderful community of listeners are listening and you want more, I'm telling you, you got to go right on to all of her socials, get on there, because you're going to get all the information that you need to take the next steps. And again, I love it that we're getting closer to the end of summer and we're going into fall. I don't know what it is about the fall. People get more focused.
Because them kids be back to school. Listen.
And that is, my kids were not in school last year. They're going back to school. And yes, God be
I know you're ready.
They got to go so I can get some things done. And so, yeah, this is the perfect time to get your mindset, get yourself together so that when next summer comes along, you're not sitting around trying to figure out what you can do. You have the freedom to then go do the things that you want to do. So Ashleigh, we are so appreciative for having you here. Anything that we can do to support, let us know.
Thank you so much.
Grateful. Thank you so much for joining us. So what did you think? Ashleigh is an amazing powerhouse. There's no way that you could not be motivated. You don't feel motivation right now just from listening to her. She is just dynamic in everything that she says and does. I just am so grateful to have her on this episode. I am more and more blessed that we keep having people like Ashleigh who go out of their way, who literally just go out of their way to be themselves. She literally, I'm telling you, you can't help but feel joy. You cannot help but feel energized. You cannot help but to feel completely motivated by listening to her. And like she said, even if you're not considering going full-time, being an entrepreneur, because let me tell you something, being an entrepreneur full-time is not all cookies and cream. There's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, but when you love what you do, it makes it easier every day to show up for yourself. But maybe you're not ready for that step. Maybe you're ready for just a side hustle that you feel like you want to make sure that contributes to your main income until you're ready to take that step. And maybe you're never ready to take that step. Maybe you're at the point where you're just like, I need some extra income. Whatever it is, there are so many levels. And I am not the person that wants to come in and shame people for deciding to continue to work. We need people to do that. We need people who are going to do that. We need people who are entrepreneurs. We need everybody on every level. So thank you, Ashleigh, for being a part of the Conversations with Toy family. Remember, I will have all of the information in the show notes for if you want to join her community, if you want to be motivated by her, go ahead and find her. I'm going to link all the places: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can find her on those three mediums. Her website, first and foremost, make sure you go onto her website, see what she's about. I mean, honestly, anybody who can wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to stay motivated for the things that she needs, that's somebody you want to listen to, because it takes a lot of discipline to get up. The sleep demon will be on you strong at 5 o'clock in the morning. But people don't realize the discipline that it takes just to put discipline in your life. It takes a lot. So we are grateful for people like Ashleigh that are out here building up other people, because that's what it's all about. She has the tools for which is making her successful, and now she can give you the tools that'll make yourself successful. This weekend is going to be about motivating myself to relax. We're about less than 2 weeks away from back to school. We are pretty much all ready to go, except I need to buy shoes. So with that in mind, I'm going to make sure that we have everything that we need in early and enough to set aside. We don't go back to school until after Labor Day. However, like I said in the last episode, I am not the last minute person. I am not one of those people. So we're going to be making sure that we get ourselves together. And with that being said, have an amazing Friday. My drink of choice will be a white wine today. I'm gearing up for some friends to come together in September. So we're going to be going to Chatsford Winery in September. So I can't wait for that. Have yourself a great weekend. We are going to be rejuvenating. We're going to be celebrating a birth of a new baby. Well, she's not here yet. He or she is not here. But we're going to be celebrating the mom and the father to be. We are going to be having just a little bit of a downtime as a family. And again, I implore you to find one activity that you enjoy, one activity that you love, one activity that's going to feel like it's building you up so that you can have the most amazing weekend. I simply hate when I hear people say, oh, I did nothing. Unless nothing was on your schedule, like there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we say we didn't do anything because we didn't really find the activity that we really wanted to do. There is no reason to waste a weekend. There's no reason to waste a day. Make sure you make every day count. Make sure you make every weekend count. And I will be back with you next week for Conversations with Toy. We have a totally new guest. These guests have been hitting. How have you been enjoying the guests? Let me know. You can always email me at toytimeblog. That's TOITIMEBLOG@gmail.com to voice your opinion, to let me know what you need. If there's something that you need, maybe there's a topic that we're not hitting. Because remember, when we're talking about self-care, we're talking about our lives, we're talking about getting our lives to our best, to live our best lives. It encompasses so many areas. So if there's an area you feel that we have not touched, send me an email. We will make sure we cover that for you. Thank you for being a part of this community. Please make sure that you share. Make sure that you review. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you like and all of the things that we have going on, because that helps me to make sure that I'm giving you the content that you need. This is not really about myself. This is not about my name. This is not about my anything. This is about helping a community of other people who need to be uplifted, who needs to be encouraged, and who just want to do the best for themselves. So have a good Friday. Have a good weekend, and see you next week with Conversations with Toy.
Thank you as always for joining me, and I know that even in the deepest or joyful conversations that there's something we can learn and apply. Until next time, I hope that you are doing better. If not, we will be back to talk some more and handle it. Peace to you and yours. Stay grounded.